Good morning, ladies. This is Miss Mehta, and today I'm going to show you how to use Photoshop. So the first thing you want to do is have Photoshop open on your desktop. To create a new file, you need to go to the File menu up here, click on New. You want to make sure you go with the default Photoshop size. Sometimes when you open Photoshop for the first time, it has it set to clipboard. So make sure you're not selected the clipboard option. Select the default Photoshop size or US paper works fine too. So select one of those options and click OK. And then it creates a new Photoshop document for you. If you want to increase the size of your file, you need to hold the Command key and hit plus to make it bigger, minus to make it smaller. You could also make use of the magnifying glass tool here to increase or decrease the size of your file. So 3 areas that you will use a lot in Photoshop are the menu options up here. You will also use the toolbar a fair bit, and you will use the layers panel a lot, which tends to be on the right side over here. And you can change the position of those bars as you like. So let's talk about the tools that we have here in the toolbar. The very first one here is called the Move tool that you will use a lot in Photoshop. This one here is called the rectangular marquee tool, but if you press and hold, you'll see that it gives you a few other options of tools that you can use as well. I'm going to skip the next few for now. You will be using the cropping tool a fair bit. The eyedropper tool is used a lot as well for color changes and so on. We'll use the eraser tool. We will also be using the text tool, the shapes tool, which is this one over here. And I think that's it for tools that we will be using in the first few lessons. So I'm going to close this file and I'm going to show you something that I have created a bit earlier. So I'm just going to exit out of this file. It's going to ask me if I want to save my changes. I'm going to say no. And I'm going to open up a new Photoshop document. Can't seem to find it. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, so here it is right here. And this one is just called Monster. And so the reason I created this Photoshop file was to demonstrate to you how the various layers in Photoshop work. So we're just going to give it a minute to open up. So the one thing that you must know about Photoshop is that everything that you create in Photoshop goes onto its own separate layer. So I'm going to demonstrate that to you using this file here. Okay, so here's the file with the monster face. I'm going to make it a bit bigger so you can see all the features. And if you notice on the right, you'll see that there's a bunch of different body parts. Each of these is a separate layer. So there's a layer for the hair, the ears, the teeth, the mouth, and so on. And there's a little eye icon, which is called the visibility icon next to each one. So if I click on each one of these, it makes certain objects disappear. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story. The story is called The Big Green Monster. So the big green monster has a big scary face. It has 2 scary eyes, a scary nose, a scary mouth with scary teeth, scary ears, and scary hair. But you don't scare me, big green monster, so go away, scary hair. Go away, scary eyes. Go away, scary teeth. Go away, scary mouth. Go away, scary nose and scary eyes. Go away, big green monster, and don't ever come back. So you can see from that little demonstration that you can set up layers for different objects in Photoshop. By clicking the visibility icon, you can make the layers appear and disappear. It is also possible to copy layers. You can also, so if you look here, so this is the hair layer that I created, and each little hair strand is its own separate shape. And then what I did eventually was I grouped all the shapes together into a little folder that I called hair. The point being that you can group layers in Photoshop. Same thing for the ears. So I actually created 2 ears, each on its own separate layer. and then group them into a group that I then called ears. So there's another group here for teeth, same idea. So you can see that you can name your layers individually, you can copy layers, you can create new layers, and you can group layers. So a little bit later today, once you've gotten the hang of Photoshop and opening documents and so on, I'd like to create your own version of a scary monster. It doesn't have to be green, it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but I would like you to explore creating separate layers in Photoshop, using different shapes in Photoshop, and creating problem solving by yourself to create some version of a scary monster on your own computers. And then at the end of class, you're going to upload it to Etsy for me to grade. For creating various shapes, you will use the Shapes tool, which is here. So if you click and hold, you'll see the various shapes that are available to you. There's also a Custom Shapes tool, which will help you create a lot of funky shapes in Photoshop, and I can help you with that in class should you need help. So that is it for this tutorial, and for the rest of class, I'd like you to come up with your own technique and create your own version of a scary face. All right then.